Hi, the Smokin Elk here, and this is my Barbecue Better series. Now, over the course of the next 12 weeks, I want to get as many of you into barbecue as possible, whether you're moving from a gas barbecue to charcoal, whether you're just starting out in barbecue, or whether you just want to take your charcoal game to the next level. This is the right place and the right series for you. Over the next 12 weeks, I'm going to talk you through the basics of how to get the best out of your charcoal barbecue. We're going to talk about what essentials I always have to hand in the shack. We're going to look at the different types of fuel. We're going to look at how to regulate your airflow, your temperature, using your vents on your barbecue, and then we're going to cook some lovely dishes along the way. Today I'm going to talk you through the different charcoal setups and why you would use each one depending on what you're cooking. So the 57cm kettle is a fantastic all-rounder, and I recommend it to anybody starting out on their barbecue journey. Now, you can grill, you can roast, you can bake, and you can smoke in these kettles. They really are fantastic all-rounder. So the first thing we're going to look at is some of the configurations that I would use if we're maybe cooking at a high heat or we're looking at cooking at roasting temperatures. Now, I know the temptation could be to just cover the whole of the charcoal grate in lit charcoal, but trust me, I don't think I've ever used my kettle barbecue that way, because you're not going to have a safe zone. You're going to be grilling all this meat, and a lot of it is fatty meat, over the hot coals, and if it starts flaring up, you start getting these flames going nuts. Where are you going to put that meat? You've got no safety zone. So I don't recommend that configuration at all. The setup I use the majority of the time is known as two-zone cooking. So you've got your charcoal over one side, your lit charcoal on one half of the barbecue, or even 1/3 of the barbecue, and then the other half doesn't have any charcoal under it whatsoever. So you've got your searing side, you can sear your meats, get that lovely caramelisation, then you can move them over to the indirect side of their slightly thicker cuts, pop the lid down, and like I said before in a previous video, you've got your nice smoky oven that's going to finish those off. So my next popular one would be the canyon method. So you've got your lit charcoal on each side of the barbecue, each side of the charcoal grate, you've got drip pan underneath, and you've got a joint of meat, whether it's chicken, joint of beef, whatever it is, sat in the middle, getting heat from both sides. You're using your vents to dial in the temperature to roast it at 200 degrees or whatever temperature you're going to be roasting at, but that is a great method for larger joints of meat. There are other methods as well, of course. These are the ones that I don't really use. You can have lit charcoal all the way around the perimeter of the barbecue and your meat cooks in the middle. Again, like I said, I don't find the need to use that one. I find two-zone cooking or the canyon method much better for me personally. You can pile a load of lit charcoal in the middle of the barbecue, and then around the outside you can maybe cook some wings. You can also buy fuel domes for this purpose, so all the heat is concentrated in the middle. It's going to go up to the lid of that barbecue, and then it's going to hit back down over your wings or whatever. So this is a good method. If you're going to do it this way, I recommend getting yourself a fuel dome or something along those lines. And another method I don't really use too often is three-zone cooking. So you can have a higher, hotter side on one side. On the other side, you've got less charcoal, maybe a bit lower, further away from the grate on the other side, and then obviously your indirect side in the middle. Again, it's not a configuration I tend to use often, but the option is there. Let's take a look at low and slow. If you want to maybe smoke some ribs or a pork shoulder or a brisket, then there's a couple of different methods that I use. One is similar to the two-zone cooking, but instead of having one zone that is completely lit charcoal, you're going to have most of those unlit. Then you're going to put some lit charcoal on top of that. We're going to use the vents to dial in the temperature at a nice low and slow temperature, put a wood chunk on there, and you're going to get your nice smoky oven at a really low temperature to smoke those ribs, smoke that brisket, whatever it is you're smoking. And another great low and slow method that you can use in the kettle is called the snake. So what you would have is a ring of unlit charcoal going all the way around the perimeter of your barbecue with some wood chunks dotted along the way. You then take some lit charcoal, put that on one side, and again use your vents to dial in the temperature, and slowly that fire is going to burn its way around the snake, around the perimeter of the barbecue, giving you a nice slow burn. And again, you're going to get that lovely smoky flavour from the wood chunks sat on top of there, and you're going to get cracking end result. So the method I use the most is the two-zone, and if you want to know how to get the charcoal lit for that one, I'll recommend getting yourself one of these chimney starters. You stick the charcoal in there, stick one or two of these firelighters underneath, and within 10-15 minutes your charcoal is ready to go. You just pour it into the barbecue, put your grate down, put your lid down, let it come up to temperature, and you're ready to go. When using low and slow, obviously you're going to have mainly unlit charcoal, so just stick around about, I don't know, if you're using briquettes, stick around about 10 briquettes in there. Don't put a lot of lump of charcoal in there. Like I said, you want to start with a small fire when you're cooking low and slow. So don't get one of these raging hot, put it in, and then try and get the temperature back down using your vents. That's going to take you ages. Start with a smaller fire, bring it up to temperature, and it's going to be a lot easier to manage. So that's your standard kettle barbecue, but what if you've got a ceramic barbecue? What if you've got a Kamado? So with a Kamado, these are very fuel efficient. Once you shut the vents down, you'll find that the coals from the previous cook will snuff out, and you're able to reuse those for the next cook. So what I tend to do is move those to one side, get a load of new charcoal and put that into the firebox, and then put the unlit stuff on top and then just start my fire that way. Now with a ceramic, don't use one of these. If you stick a chimney full of these in there, the chances are it's going to shock the ceramic, it's going to shock the firebox, and you'll end up with a crack in your firebox before you know it. So the method I always use is start with a couple of firelighters on top of the charcoal, build a bit of charcoal around it, get the firelighters lit, leave the lid open, leave the dome open until you've got a nice little fire on the go, and then put the lid down, open up the top vent all the way, the bottom vent all the way, until you get yourself a nice higher fire. The temperature starts climbing up nicely, and once it gets near your desired temperature, then use the vents, as I was discussed in the previous video, to start dialing in your temperature. Obviously, if you're using heat deflectors, I recommend putting the heat deflectors in before you open up all the vents and start bringing it up to temperature, so the temperature comes up with the deflectors in place. If you put them in once you've got a roaring fire and your temperature is already where you want it to be, again, you might shock the heat deflectors and this could cause them to crack. And that's it really, a nice quick overview of some of the different charcoal setups and configurations you can use depending on what it is you're looking to achieve and what it is you're looking to cook. I hope you found it useful, and I'll see you again soon for the next barbecue better with the Smokin Elk.